everyone, it's Jessica. Thank you so much for being here today. So today I have some pictures of a race that my husband and I ran, and I thought that they would be perfect to use with the scraps that I have left over from my mini album kit with the It's the Little Things collection from Close to My Heart. Now I do have a bunch of scraps that I'll show you in a second, and I thought that they would work perfectly with this pattern 15 from the Make It From Your Heart Volume 2 book, which has like a whole bunch of different strips that go up to 7 inches, although this is a 6x6 paper pad. So I'm going to adjust it just a little bit. And let me show you here everything that I have left over after making my mini album, which came with all of this stuff here. I got like a whole pad of 6x6 papers. You can see how many big scraps I have left over, as well as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7, I can't remember, full-size sheets of 6x6 paper still left over. And then a bunch of stickers, and then I've got this stamp set that came with it and a bunch of black chipboard pieces still left over. So very quickly, let me flip through my album and show you what I put together based on the kit directions. I haven't got pictures for it yet, so some of them I did just cut out the stickers and stick down in there because I didn't know if I was going to want to keep that as the title for those pages once I had my pictures on there. But that way I know for sure, you know, anything that I use today is not actually called for in that little mini album kit. I pulled everything else out. So that one piece there, which is a 7-inch piece, is really going to be the only one I think that might give me a little bit of trouble. But everything else I think is going to work just fine with these scraps. So I pulled a couple of other stamp sets that I think I'm going to use as well. Okay, I've gone ahead and cut the pieces of paper. These ones here are just 5 inches. And I've also brought in some candy apple cardstock, and then I'm going to use some black cardstock as well to mat all of my photos. And then anything that really needed to be longer than 6 inches, since I am working with that 6x6 paper collection, I think it's going to be okay just to have multiple pieces and then hide the seams of where everything is going to show. So the pattern does call for having one more piece of pattern paper just here to the left-hand side where those photos are supposed to be. But I think that instead I'm going to do a little bit of ink blending in the place of that piece of paper. So I'm going to grab my brush here and my Lagoon ink pad, and I'm going to start by tapping off my brush underneath where I know that the photo is going to hide it. That way that really dark ink spot isn't going to show, but that way the ink just kind of softly comes off the brush by the time it gets to the part of the paper that will be showing from behind my photo mat. So I'll go ahead and do that to both sides. And then I did just run this through some water in the sink, and I didn't use any soap or anything, and my brush came completely clean. That'll dry in about a half an hour. So I don't really have one brush per color, but I just clean them right away and it works perfectly well. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put the last of my paper pieces down here. And then I think I want to add just a little bit more to where I've got the ink blending. So this stamp set is actually not part of that mini album kit that I am working with here, my scraps, but this is from the Scrapbooking kit that you can also get for the same collection. And so there is this fun little stamp on here that's just got a bunch of like lines on it. And I think I'm going to stamp it behind the photo. So that way there's just a little bit of it showing. And I'm going to use my Lagoon ink as well, just as a little tone on tone over that blending. So in order to make sure that I stamp it straight, I'm like, I better put a line down here. So I'm figuring out where I want my photos to be and then grabbing a pencil and using my T-square ruler just to give myself a little bit of a guide. I was not thinking at this point that the pattern actually gives some directions as to where that strip of photos is supposed to be on the paper. So I just got happy and started like stamping things. And then later I had to adjust the left-hand side of my layout to make sure that my photos, my photo mats ended up being in the same place. Not quite according to the pattern, but close enough. So I'm using the back side of my Versamat here because it's got like a foam to it. So that's perfect for things like this where you need to stamp on your big 12x12 page. And like I said, I'm just going to put a row of that little line stamp there so that way it's peeking out from the side of my photo mat. And so that'll go like this. And then I get a little stuck. This is always like the point where I get a little stuck. I'm like, what am I going to do for my title? So I go back to that same stamp set, and I think I want to use the one in there that says this was, and then it's got like a line on it. So you have a bunch of different stamp options on this set where you can say whatever this occasion was. It was awesome, amazing. I can't remember what all of them say, but you have some choices. So what is appropriate for your memory that you're scrapbooking? And so I think I'm going to let that be my title. Now, when I went to pull this off, I didn't realize that actually it came in two different stamps. I thought that was all one solid stamp, but the this was part is separate, which I think is actually kind of cool because then you could stamp that in a different color if you ever wanted to. So I'm going to go ahead and season that, and please pardon my head, and put that down right there. And then I'll stamp this was also in black. And then off camera, I will stamp a whole bunch of journaling lines underneath of it so that I can tell the story of this race that we did. So it was a trail run, and normally I run just kind of, regular road races, 5Ks. And so I don't do trail runs very often, and my husband doesn't really run very much at all. And so this was just kind of a fun race that we did together. It's in my hometown, right down the road from where my parents live. And probably the best part about it is that they serve beer at the end. So it's just kind of a fun little go out and get a little workout in, and then hang out and drink some good beer when you're done. So I'm also going to create a couple of embellishments here. This is the See You at the Finish Line stamp set. I love this set. If you are a runner or into doing triathlons, I highly recommend this set because I know I personally have used it so many times. And so I've stamped onto a circle this fun little sentiment, and it says go the distance or something like that. And then I'm going to stamp a star in the center, and then I'm going to grab the little 5K stamp and stamp that in black over the top. So since I am bringing in this circle element, I'm thinking I'm probably going to need to go die cut a couple of other circles just to make everything kind of coordinate and match as I start the embellishment process. So I'll get this created, and then I'm going to go in search of some Lagoon cardstock and go searching through my die cuts to see what kind of circles and sizes that I want to use to embellish this layout. So I'm looking here and thinking, do I need any stickers? I have tons of stickers left after that mini album as well. And I don't end up using any of the leftover stickers, but I also am going to go through my leftover black chipboard pieces from that mini album kit. And again, I have so many things left. So I just start kind of punching out and pulling out anything that I think might work for this layout. I've got a couple of these cute stars here, so I'm going to grab those. I think there are 3 of them. And then later I'm going to find, they kind of look like like a starburst or an asterisk or something. I've got a couple of those left over, so I thought that those worked nicely with the stars, and then some arrows. So like I said, lots of things still left over even after making that mini album. And I'm just going to kind of pull things together and see what works. So like I said, I know I need to do a couple more circles, so I'm thinking maybe if I get a circle, I can put that ampersand on it. I don't know. So that was just kind of my thought process, but I know for sure that I want to back this one running circle here on some Lagoon cardstock just to make it stand out a little bit more. It was kind of getting lost there. I knew I wanted to put it in that one spot to the side of my photo because when I was stamping those little lines, I messed up a little bit, and I was like, that's fine. That's a good place to put an embellishment. So I knew that that was going to go there. And then I started playing with my black chipboard pieces, and I liked the arrows. I thought it was kind of fun to point to, here's where we started. And then I had a couple of pictures of my husband coming across the finish line after me, I might add. And then I have this ampersand that I really wanted to use, but it just didn't seem to kind of work very well. So I'll save it for another project. And instead, I think I'm going to go with the heart piece instead and put that over my Lagoon circle. Then because I had that one extra circle left over, I'm like, well, I still want to use it. That way I have 3 on my layout. So I decided to tuck it up here on top of my photo. And then I was like, well, it looks a little plain. So I went back to that same running stamp set, and I think I'm going to stamp the word run on it and then just have it peeking out of the top of the photo. And then in addition to that, I have just a little bit more stamping that I decide to add to this layout, and then I am nearly done. So when I was going through those black chipboard pieces that I had left over, I did like those little starburst ones, but I didn't have as many as I wanted. So I went into my stamp stash and I found this set here, and it's got a little tiny one on there, so I'm going to just stamp them instead. And then I also saw I had this other stamp on that same set that kind of creates like a wash of color behind a sentiment. So I did second generation with my Lagoon ink, and I went right over top of the awesome in my title, and I thought that was a fun way to add just a little bit more color because there is a lot of black and white going on with my middle part of the layout here. So like I said, I didn't have enough of those black chipboard pieces, but that is perfectly fine. Stamps to the rescue, just to kind of round out a few of these little clusters and embellishment places here. And that is going to be it. I look around and I'm like, nope, I think this is it. So I'm good. That was it. I still have so many scraps to use up just from that one kit, and I'm excited to put together my scrapbooking layout kit from the same collection as well. There is also a card kit if you are into cards, but I just love these 6x6 papers. They are so bright and fun. And then I love how there's some black and white different patterns in there as well, just to balance all of those fun colors. Lots of different options. So I will leave links in the description box down below if you are interested in checking any of that out. Thank you so much for being here today and watching. Have a great day. Happy crafting. Bye.